So this is the pipe bomber from the January 6th.
The media is truly the enemy of the people, somehow making their few remaining viewers even stupider, as they finally caught the guy that...
I gotta hand it to the media. They've managed to do something that science has never been able to. They've taken something with a value of 0, which is their credibility, and they've managed to somehow divide it. They're cutting 0 in half all the time. It's impressive.
No, you still have too much faith in them, Asmongold, trust me.
Allegedly left behind the pipe device in D.C. on the 6th of January.
Yep.
As the feds have arrested...
They got his ass.
...for planting the pipe.
Brian, you idiot.
Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with...
White man? What? I saw this. This is what it's about.
Yeah. Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device.
Why would you say that he's white? Why? Like, what's weird about this is that you don't have to say a person's race. It shouldn't really matter, right? I mean, like, why would you say this if you weren't certain about it? I think that the reason why this happens, by the way, is that there's like, and I do think that, by the way, I do think the media intentionally tries to inflame these conflicts on purpose. They are dishonest in the same way that they lightened George Zimmerman's skin whenever he shot Trayvon Martin. Like, this was very evident. I think it happens on a regular basis. It's true. But at the same time, I think that a lot of them just simply pull like police records. And what I've heard, I don't know if this is still true, but what I've heard is that a lot of police records, the default race is white. So anytime that anybody is booked, if the like fields are not filled out, it will automatically default to white. So there.
Oh, that must skew crime statistics so much against white people. That's terrible.
There's a level of plausible deniability here.
No, it's just a terrible practice. It's assigning all types of crimes to white people that they didn't actually commit.
But with CNN, I think that they've lost all of their goodwill. Stop making excuses. I'm not making an excuse. I'm explaining why it could happen in a way that is fair, reasonable, and provides as much...
It's not fair or reasonable for the default race of any criminal to be assumed to be white. Like, if I said default race of all criminals is assumed to be black, left would be up in arms if they did that. Imagine if the default race was black, and if anyone forgot to change it and you think all crimes were assigned to black people. It's terribly a racist practice.
Context is possible to the conversation. If that's upsetting...
It should just be undetermined. It's just as simple.
For you, you need to go lay down and take your medication.
A 30-year-old white man.
And when CNN isn't calling him a white man...
And they're wrong for saying it. I'm not saying that they're right for saying it. What I'm doing is I'm explaining how it happens and the different explanations for why it could happen. It's like I'm explaining the chain of events.
They're writing entire articles about him without once even showing his image, as all their articles are headlining the man's masked images, and at the same exact time, other outlets seem to know exactly what he looks like, no matter...
Yeah, the reason why they do that is because of racial politics.
...what he looks like.
Yeah.
No matter...
Yeah, the reason why they do that is because of racial politics.
Of course.
Once you understand that a lot of these mainstream media organizations, especially MSNBC...
Yeah, portraying minorities as criminals, don't you know that's racist? That's what these people think. And so they'll lie and deceive and ignore reality in order to not be racist.
ABC and CNN, like
thereby being terribly racist.
ABC is also pretty bad. As soon as you realize that the way that they cover and discuss anything that is an interracial violence thing is by intentionally misrepresenting and presenting it in the most, racially biased way possible. Once you understand that and you look at it through that lens, everything that they do makes sense.
Oh, yeah. How much you hate the mainstream media, you don't hate them enough. As one...
Amen. I have my own stories to add to that. Biggest one is how the 2008 financial crisis, everything you know about that is a lie. Wall Street greed had nothing to do with causing that. It was regulators, people working for the FDIC that created the subprime market and nearly destroyed our financial system.
One slip up might
Fox
be
does this all the time. I mean, like, I'm sure they do, but like in the instances where, like, I'm sure that like you're trying to be like, oh, both sides do this. Sure, it's bad no matter who does it. Now, in my opinion, I think that it's more problematic. I think the problem is much more pervasive with left-wing people. I do. I think it's much worse, but it's also bad with right-wing people too. It just doesn't. I don't think it happens as much.
mistake, but they race swap so many suspects, you'd think it's a Netflix adaptation.
Yes, redheads are an endangered species at Netflix.
As remember that shooter in Manhattan? The initial images came out
Yeah.
of a man with an afro.
They do know what he looks like. Sunglasses, mustache, male, possibly white.
The fact that
Possibly white.
they knew he had a mustache just shows that they saw the image but decided the narrative was more important to protect than their own integrity. As even
The only way that I could give this any credibility on their end is if they were just reading a police report and the police report gave a description.
Asmongold, you're trying too hard.
And as I said, it auto-filled the race field to white. That's the only way I could justify this. And I'm not even saying that's what happened. But like, that's the only way I could guess.
in the article they have up today, you gotta get through the bulk of their reporting about
Yeah.
everything except
It's
race
bullshit. I think it's
until
bullshit,
they
too.
finally show his face.
Yeah.
And it would be one thing if CNN just wanted to destroy their credibility, but this is an epidemic we see with most left-leaning news outlets.
Yeah.
Remember the guy throwing Molotovs over in Boulder?
Oh,
Colorado?
true.
It's my sister actually was a reporter in the past, and I would actually have arguments saying the media is fake, it's biased, it's everything basically he's saying. Like, it's so satisfying that now just the average person on the internet knows how biased media is. They're slowly catching up to where I am. It's satisfying.
Later known as the illegal Egyptian immigrant Mohammed Salman. Well, here comes MSNBC's reporting on the video everybody already saw.
Verify and confirm some video, but it appears to show a significant portion of the incident as it happened. There's an individual that's taken into custody. He's a white male.
Just think of all the lies the left could get away with.
I mean, again, like the
Think of all the lies left can get away with. I know a lot of the lies the media in general has gotten away with. Just thinking it's just the left and it maybe just in recent years it's gone this bad. No, it was even worse before. Sometimes I'll have to make a video on that.
the problem is that, like, if I looked at that image, I'd say that's a white guy, right? But the problem is that there are so many instances of this happening. And I think that whenever there is an instance of a person being misrepresented, it's always in this direction. And I think that that's the problem, is that, like, it's easy to forgive a mistake.
That practice, you said that it defaults to white. Why didn't you criticize that practice, Asmongold? It's horribly racist. If all criminals defaulted to black, I mean, you see how that's racist. Why can't you see it's racist the other way around?
Or a clerical error. But whenever this is like it's a systematic pattern of errors that occur in one direction every single time, basically, right? I mean, it's only 95% maybe. Let's say that, or 90%. It's so overwhelmingly on one side. I mean, at a certain point, like, it's probably not a mistake, right?
If social media and camera phones weren't a thing, or at the very least, Elon Musk didn't buy X, enabling us to freely share information without Facebook fact checkers telling us the vaccine.
This is also very true too. It's that Facebook and what do you call it? Like Facebook and all these other platforms, all of them have been totally like controlled. And I think that Elon Musk.
Yes, especially with regard to COVID. And if you said that the virus came from the virology lab in Wuhan, the most obvious place for it to come from, you were censored on all these platforms. It wasn't crazy.
Musk buying Twitter really did, I think it was like a timeline shift. Because if he had never bought Twitter, we would still be getting banned for saying that there's two genders.
Yes, it was extremely helpful, and Elon Musk has made himself a target since then.
We would still be getting banned for making like a racial joke or something like that. Like, I don't think people understand, like, for whatever you think about Elon Musk, you think he's an asshole, you think he's an idiot, you don't like because he cheated in PoE, anything like that.
That was really stupid when he cheated in PoE.
I really got to say that, like, he would have to do a lot worse than that for me to, like, roach out on him after he effectively saved free speech on the internet, which is what I think he did.
Agreed.
And I think that really shifted the entire discourse of politics, of culture, of everything. I think it was massive.
By retweeting stories from you and other streamers, he has allowed major stories to completely bypass the media. It's that appeal that actually got me into streaming, so hoping to take advantage of it one day.
And so if you care about freedom of speech, you should appreciate that.
Also because I like streaming and VTubing.
Stops the spread, not because any long-term
That's what I would
science,
say.
but because the Democrats on TV said so. As before the official reports on that terror attack in Colorado came out, most everybody already saw that viral video on social media.
Yeah.
But MSNBC wants you to forget what you saw and only believe
That's one thing that media does, and it publishes false stories, and those false stories get widespread distribution, and then the retraction is just buried in its paper. Like, less than 1% of people ever see the retraction, and that's why you have a huge amount of people in America that are uninformed, because they only see the original false information.
they say, because the current thing is controlling the narrative around race. As it's bad enough certain police chiefs refuse to release
Citing racial bias, San Francisco will end mugshots release. I mean,
That's making your public less safe. If you can't know the face of a criminal, if there's someone does a really horrendous crime, you want to know that. You want to know their faces, especially if they might be released on bail.
basically, anybody that does this is like, because at this point you're trying to make the government operate to create a racial bias. Like, that's really what you're doing. You're trying to create a racial bias by not showing certain things. And what they're really trying to do is they're trying to remove information from the public in order to make the public not come to certain conclusions.
Just like the crime stats in Washington, D.C., there's a big scandal on that. Crime stats, Washington, D.C. They're launching an inquiry into that. There's reclassifying murders as accidents and all that type of stuff. It probably hasn't really hit the mainstream yet, but it'll become bigger.
So it's the government that's trying to manufacture propaganda through a second order effect of creating the source material and then having that be flawed or incomplete so people can't draw conclusions they would normally draw.
Yeah, exactly. Let me just put, what should you see, zero hedge. Here we go, 2 days ago. That's why I read Zero Hedge. It actually has all these stories. DC police chief resigns as massive scandal over crime stats heats up. And so this hasn't actually made it into the VTubing React space yet, but I bet you'll see Nasbigold a video on this topic probably in a few weeks or even a few days.
This also has happened. I think it happened in Sweden or Norway. I forgot which one. And it was kind of a while ago. It might have not been that country, but in some of those countries, they stopped reporting race statistics for this reason. In my opinion, if it was up to me, I would put the people that made these decisions in jail. I would put them in jail, and I would charge
Agreed. Maybe not for a long time, but enough to scare them.
them for some sort of crime that would keep them in jail forever.
Not forever. A lot of these people are just sheep that's going along with the entire institution and everything there. Put them in jail for a short time, that'll scare them straight.
Because what they're fundamentally doing is they're trying to subvert the American public. They're trying to manipulate the American public. They're trying to weaponize their position of law enforcement in order to basically force an ideology on the people. You're just manipulating it forever. Yeah, of course.
Forever is too costly. It's not thinking about the cost of this.
I let them out. Because why let somebody that's going to do that out? Because then if you don't do that and somebody knows like, fuck, I better not do this or they're going to put me in there forever, I think that's a pretty good incentive not to do it, right?
Actually, just having like a year would be a good incentive. These people, the idea of going to jail even for a year is terrifying for them. It's overkill forever.
Does that deserve jail forever, though? It does. And let me explain the reason why. Whenever you subvert people, you take a position that you have a responsibility to the public in, and then you take advantage of that to manipulate the public and to fulfill your own social and political goals with that. You have outsourced that manipulation to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people.
The deception in media, it comes with all these different layers. Like, there's people in the government that are manipulating statistics, and you have CNN takes those statistics and pushes them even farther in one direction to paint one narrative. There's so many different layers. You can't put everyone in jail because you put maybe a quarter of the country in jail by that time.
Millions of people. So whenever you make bad decisions and those bad decisions have millions of victims, I think that, yeah, there's a scalar for that. Absolutely.
No, you see, as we get old, a lot of these people believe there's systematic oppression against minorities. And what they're doing by this manipulation is just restoring the balance. It's
Mugshots of dangerous criminals.
And I think also, like, we're in a position where government officials should be, to a degree, scared of population and scared of making bad decisions. Now, I don't think that, they should be assassinated or anything like that. That's crazy. But I think that they should be held accountable. And the problem now...
You just need a free media for that. A free and effective media, which we not really have. Once you have that, like that story I just was saying about the crime stats in Washington, D.C., that's getting no coverage so far in the media, very little. See, crime stat scandal. The Guardian, but no Washington. Oh, here we go. It's Fed's probe, rhyme set. It's not talking about. It's not talking about. Look at this title: DC chief resigns as massive scandal over crime stats hits up. This seems like a boring article. It's designed to get people not to read it. It just doesn't have the same level of coverage that it should.
Now is that government officials never feel any level, and this is also true with business owners too. This is not unique to government officials. Like right now, there are very few limiters on what somebody who is very wealthy and powerful has in terms of like what they can make decisions on, right? Because there's so many levels of obfuscation and displacement on that accountability. And what I'm saying is that if you want to have good behavior, if you want to prevent bad behavior, tie a direct personal negative consequence to that negative behavior, and you're going to have that.
Yes, but don't punish the U.S. taxpayer, because putting someone in jail forever, that's punishing the U.S. taxpayer. You have to consider all the consequences. Put them in jail for a year, that'll scare them straight. Anything more than that is just wasteful.
To protect racial narratives.
You see black and brown men all the time you see these mugshots either on television, news,
It's kind of a pretty big self-report, isn't it?
movies, you name the media source, and the mind begins to associate that.
Well, a solution to that is to work on it so there's less black men being arrested and try to reduce crime rate among that population rather than hiding it.
Root with that type of activity.
Maybe they wouldn't.
So this is it, right? I mean, now at this point, you're trying to change the way that, you're trying to shift the public sentiment and withhold law enforcement information so you can push a political narrative. Yeah, I'd say jail forever, for sure. 100%.
Constantly see those same mugshots if the city finally gave out life sentences to repeat offenders.
Exactly.
But instead,
It's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you wouldn't keep seeing the same fucking...
Yes, that's true. The person who set the woman on fire, the person who stabbed the other Ukrainian in the metro, all those arrests are mugshots, and So you have these repeat offenders. It's why the system is flooded with mugshots of the left's leniency on crimes of minorities and constantly releasing them makes criminals from minorities have mugshots over and over again.
Usual suspects if you just keep the fuckers in jail. Keep them in jail, you're not going to have this problem. Oh, we just keep seeing these people over and
White.
over. Well, then
Also probably there too and there too.
fucking keep them there.
There's a
This is, it looks like he, Aspencaller was right in that it defaults to white. It should be, look, ethnicity unknown. Race should also be unknown. Why is it white? It should be unknown. That is such a racist practice. Like, if this was default black for every criminal, left would be screaming about systematic racism.
a concerning trend
Yes.
of booking non-white individuals as white people,
This is what I'm saying, right? Is that it's a default race category.
Just put unknown or not determined.
completely ending the accuracy of crime statistics.
Yes.
And the worst part about this
Yeah,
entire
and that's something that you should always keep in mind. Sometimes this is changed afterwards. So a lot of these are like the initial bookings because it just wasn't written down, right? But always keep this in mind whenever somebody's trying to show you crime statistics for racial stuff or anything like that. And this is, remember what I said before about how, like, why I don't trust statistics and why I don't trust data?
I trust statistics if I'm the one who's collected the data. Then statistics are very useful, and I use that in gaming a lot, and, well, not a lot, but when I'm really min-maxing, I use that in gaming. But this is statistics of other people, that I'm more skeptical outright.
Stuff like this is the reason why. And the problem is that a lot of people don't actually look beyond just like the base numbers and how the numbers were arrived at and the systems that generate those numbers. Because usually whenever you deconstruct the systems that generate those numbers, you will find that if you're a reasonable, intelligent person, which I think at least I'm reasonable, maybe not in
People assume that, like, the police and the government is honest by default, and that's why they get so fooled by all this. They don't, like, they say the race white of all these criminals, they say, oh, that's correct. They haven't seen the mugshots that go with them. They're just uninformed, too trusting.
intelligent, but at least reasonable in some things. You can generally kind of predict what studies are going to show because you've experienced the world and you're paying attention. So whenever a study shows something that's like completely opposite of what you were looking at and thinking,
Like, there's studies apparently that show that immigrants never commit crimes, commit crimes less than the local population. Completely safe to bring in unlimited amount of immigrants. There's an age-old correlation between poverty and crime. You bring in a lot of poor people, crime will go up. It has nothing to do with race or anything else. It's just, that's the nature of the world. And studies that try to deny this, they've been manipulated.
about, the chances are that the study was manipulated. So what do you trust? Myself. I trust myself and my ability to discern information myself. And I will look at studies and the way information is gathered.
And I'll gather the statistics myself if I'm really interested. That's what I did when I was, back when I was writing and blogging. Oh, I have so many different spreadsheets and graphs.
And I will have like a sentiment on it, but I will not necessarily act on it. Like, I basically never let any study or any data overrule opinions that I have. I don't. And I've never been wrong, by the way. I've never been wrong about this. This has never taken me in a wrong direction. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't listen to it at all, but whenever you hear something, and this is just really what it comes down to, right? Like, I'm not saying people should do this, but this is what you should do. Whenever you hear something that doesn't make any sense to you, you should assume that it's because it's wrong.
Yes, like those studies that show immigrants don't increase crime. Don't believe any of those.
And you should look into why that is. And if you look deep enough and you go into enough of the Russian nesting dolls of the lies,
It wasn't Americans that defrauded Minnesota of over $1 billion.
you will generally find some form of obfuscation or manipulation. just like this right here. That's my point.
Situation is these law enforcement agencies and news networks know most crime is intraracial, meaning statistically criminals victimize people of their own ethnicity. So when we see atrocities like this story out of Stockton,
Of course.
where a kid's birthday party got shot up,
Yeah.
it was suspected that this was gang violence involving the Asian Crips. As it appears, at least one of the men arrested was indeed Filipino. But you're never going to see anybody from the Asian community demand he be released or suppress his ethnicity, as statistically, when you lock up Asian criminals, you're protecting potential Asian victims, and all take saving.
That's the thing that's very weird to me, is that I don't know why people try to,
Black communities are probably hurt the worst by releasing these black criminals.
why people want their own communities to be unsafe. Is it really whenever you have
I remember the George Floyd riots, and I was watching black-owned businesses being burned to the ground. I'm like, how can these people even pretend to be demonstrating for the importance of Black Lives Matters when they're destroying the life's work of so many black businessmen? And because these were black neighborhoods that were burning mostly. It just, and you had white people coming in to support that and helping burn them down. Oh God.
and I think that here's the truth, is that some of the people that that want violent criminals released the most are the people that see and deal with violent criminals the least. So you have a bunch of upper middle class white women that are out there voting to release every violent criminal there is, and they're releasing these criminals into working class and Section 8 housing, and all of the people around there are being terrorized. Meanwhile, these women are living in gated communities, and they get to feel good about themselves that they did something that was nice.
I know women like that.
That's what happens.
Asian babies over violent Asian gang members every
Duh,
single time.
of course.
But why does the media conveniently omit this perspective when reporting on only certain crimes? It's so the Democrats can turn this nonsense into reality.
There is absolutely no doubt that the data shows that the vast majority of incidents of domestic terror come from.
See? That's exactly what I'm saying.
Different levels of deception. What I was saying too. You have the people that at the very bottom are writing white where it's not supposed to be white. Then you have people in the media that make articles based on that. And then you have people in the talk show circuit. Like this is like, that's like 3 levels, but there's more.
It's suicidal empathy. No, it's
You have
narcissistic
NGOs studying it and releasing it. There's so many layers.
empathy. Suicidal implies that you're going to be a victim of it. Narcissistic empathy means that somebody else is going to be a victim of it. AOC is never going to be a victim of it, right? Unless some tragedy happens, which I hope it doesn't, by the way. But I think she's a fucking retard. But either way, this is the reason why, is that they construct the data collection mechanisms, and then they report on the data inaccurately or in a intentionally incomplete way, and then they omit certain data points that are inconvenient. Like, for example, how many of the people that were burning things down at BLM or the Tesla rioters were charged as domestic terrorism? As far as I know, basically 0. Maybe a few, but definitely not as many as there should have been. So whenever
Media reported those as peaceful protests, no matter how many people died or how many businesses burned.
you look at this, like, and this is the problem, that this is like a Reddit problem, is that people will look at the baseline of something and never actually think beyond that.
White nationalism.
There are problems in our communities, but usually it's some white supremacists on the other side.
We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
When you have bad statistics, your solutions are bad too.
Because when the truth doesn't match their narrative, the left doesn't change their talking points, they just use the media. Crime reporting and sacrifice of all the new—
I cannot wait, bro. Like, whoever is going to run on a platform of deporting her back and sending all of these foreigners that have come into our country and want to bring their foreign bullshit into America, deporting every single one of them that is running an office or anything like that. And we have actual Americans, people that have American values, people that care about America, not making it and acting in the best interest of fucking Israel, Somalia, or wherever the fuck else they came from. I'm going to vote for that guy. That's going to be a guy
Nationalism is going to make a big comeback. I think that what he's saying and his audience, that's just the start of it. That's it's going to be like what Trump has sent back so far. It's only going to be the start. So a lot of people that deserve to be deported will get deported, and some people that don't also. But that's the way the world works.
vote for. I'm so fucking sick of this shit. It is so obnoxious. We are being occupied by people that hate us. It is a disgrace. And every day that we let it happen, it will continue to get worse.
Victims they'll make to then pretend their narrative wasn't made up race-baiting nonsense. And for them to think, we want to protect the identities of minority criminals, to not disparage the law-abiding minorities, just snitches on themselves on how they can't tell us apart.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, you're right.
Appreciate my concise, light-hearted commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality. Subscribe to Decoy, as we somehow made the channel Decoy Voice even more concise.
Actually, before I forget,
the media is...
I don't think I'm subscribed, but I am now.
It's a good video. It was. And this isn't even a melting pot of values. I mean, like...
Yes, bringing in immigrants that assimilate, that can be a strength. But bringing in immigrants that just form their own enclave and never learn the language, like a large part of the Somalis in Minnesota don't speak English. They have signs in Somali. That's just fracturing the United States. It's not healthy for a country.
The thing is that I don't think that we have any obligation to bring in a bunch of fucking morons that don't even want to be in the country, don't even like the country, that want to push it for themselves and change it for themselves. And there, right there is the video. Make sure to give it a like. I totally fucking agree with what he's saying, by the way. I completely agree with all of this stuff. And I think, honestly, it should be more common.
Same here. I agree with everything. And this will be on YouTube. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.